Oh, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to Koreada. Welcome aboard. Sit back. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let me just share my views on certain things about athletics. I'm glad you're commenting all the way from Uganda. I saw a comment from there. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep liking when you can, and when you can do it, share it with your neighbor because your neighbor wants to know why you so into athletics. It's because Tukoriada brings you hopefully the latest, maybe a futuristic look of things. But again, we are in a community. We are getting bigger. We might need a bigger mega church, a big stadium as we go to Tokyo, so we can share some of these narrative stories, behind the scenes, athletics, empowering them, admiring them, and just being people that care about sports in general. So let me ask you a question to get started here. What do you think is the biggest challenge to track and field as we speak? 2025, the biggest challenge is track and field. What is the impediments? What are the areas that you think track and field is struggling as they move forward or as they compete? Let's talk of World Championship, maybe the Eugene scenarios, Prefontaine, and the Diamond League. What is the biggest challenge track and field is facing? You can leave a comment. You can always have a discussion with me off the screen and all that stuff. I allow that. I think it's democracy at the best. But let me tell you where I'm coming from because that question begs this answer from me because I have a response. Because for me, as an athlete in the past, in the 90s, that's an old timer that I am, the biggest challenge has always been exposure. But that's not even the top one. Is economic power. The bank, the money, the prices, the fees, the payment scale for the athletic world is way at the bottom. People get carried away by big names. You can talk of Noah Lyles being paid big. You can talk of Eliud Kipchoge being the guy who commands that. But they've owned it. But before that, everybody else is on minimum wage in professionalism as far as track and field is concerned. That's a fact. You can ask anybody. They struggle with sponsors. They struggle sometimes even getting to some meets because they don't have the. I think Tara Woodward one time talked of her and her husband Hunter not being able to be invited to go to the Diamond League in Europe because they didn't have a name. They were not big names. They were not names that people want to see. But now you know what happened. The rest of the story, as they put it. You know the rest of the story. And so if that is the biggest challenge, what do you think is the second biggest challenge? Personally, I'll just answer my own questions. Is doping. And doping has been the Achilles in track and field. It goes way back. The history of doping is a long history. It stains the sport. It leaves people asking whether we are dealing with legit athletes. Are they natural or they are natural? They've been enhanced by some drug. That's what they call it. So I can go on and on. So I ask this question and I answer my own questions because when you think of those things, the economic leverage that they should get and should be addressed, and the doping scandals, and I think Kenya is right now at the front line when it comes to doping, and we have Belarus and Russia. You know how that worked out. So if those are the challenges track and field is facing, if I'll go third and say that we have exposure problem, and let's not talk of Michael Johnson not being able to pay their athletes. You see, it's all economic right there. And now doping becomes a cheating mechanism so that you can get paid on this day and you become Ruth Chemgetich in marathon. You get a big money, but you're cheating. So there you have it. So if those are the narratives, those are the big headline news we see around the world, how come gender has taken the front line? How come the identity of a human being who they are, is taking the front line? Let me ask you this. Do you think an athlete just wakes up one day and say, oh, I'll be training as he, they, transgender? Do you think that really is become a major issue in our athletics, or we've made that issue? I'm just asking questions. I don't think I have an answer, but I have my own understanding of human beings. So I say this because Nikki Hiltz, they go by the noun they won the national championship in 1500 meters this weekend in Eugene. I saw the person coming through. They were excited. They were thrilled. They won. The winning time, 4:03 in 1500 meters. That's pedestrian. It was a tactical race. They sprinted at the end and they won. The one thing about people that people don't appreciate is the humanity. I think I've talked about in my episode the recession, the deficiency of compassion. I think we are in that predicament at the moment whereby we don't, when we see a face, we don't associate it all holistically as a human being. We have to dissect it. So, what do you think Nikki Hills said in one of the interviews they got? I think I like what they said here. I think there's now a new front that has been put up by the president of World Athletics. Talking of Sebastian Coe, let me just backpedal. Let me give you a foundation. It won't be long. Trust me. I know how to capsulate it. In 2012, London Olympics, I'm talking of 2012 London Olympics, President Sebastian Coe was the face of the Olympics in London at the Birmingham Palace backyard. The Queen, we know what she did. She opened it. I don't know why she closed it. But it was queen-like, imperial-like, Sebastian Coe-like. Yet that Olympics of 2012 goes down as the dirtiest, the most scandalous Olympics we ever had, ever hosted in the history of Olympics. You know why? Or you might think it was gender cheating. Some athletes came there, they were this way, they were transgender. You think, oh, it was that they were not. It's mostly, it comes to women, by the way, if you've noticed this trend, is that there's always a women attack. There's a war on women. It's been going on since human beings existed. There's a war on women body. That's a fact. I've talked about it. But let me go to a London Olympics. The dirtiest, the most scandalous, 1500 meters was one of the worst finals we've ever seen when it comes to scandals. Half of the team, half of the finalists in that event were cheating, and they were juiced up, and they were in dope. There was a Turkey, 1-2 was Turkey. There was a Russian there. There was somebody else out there. Okay, even there was Aregawi. I think she was Swedish. She found. So we went from that. That was the worst. You can go look back. The reason why I'm saying this is because track and field priorities and focus is all over the place. And it's never about the athlete, it's about personality. Sebastian Coe right now is the president of the World Athletics. What is his biggest agenda? Sex or whatever. What do you call it? What do you call this? They call it sex testing. Okay? So before a race or before an event, maybe championship, I don't know, that everywhere they're going to be doing this. They'll be testing people, or mostly women. Now get this, to find out whether they are Y chromosomes. Their Y chromosomes measures up to what they call the standard. So Nikki Hills spoke, and they say this: sex testing is a slippery slope. Okay, obviously, I'm gonna do it. Of course, do they have a choice? Because there's gatekeepers, and they are always, let me put it this way, white men. And then they continue, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna protest it or anything. I just don't like the precedent at the sets. They continue that if this is the top setting, they continue to say, if this is the top setting these rules, how does this trickle down to NCAA and the youth programs? As harmless as Nick Hills talks about here, is for me, the issue is not testing. The issue is how discriminatory it is, and how dehumanizing, and how this story has a history. It has a history of marginalizing people, and mostly it comes to women. And I hate to be the one pounding this one to sunset and the days of let's be liberated from this mindset. And by the way, this chromosome test has been pushed by the leadership of this great nation that claims to be democratic, that preaches diversity and human rights. And when Sebastian Coe came here and spoke to the leadership of this country that I live in, America, they say you must do this. And I think for me, this is where I start to say, is it as transgender athletes a threat to athletics? Ask yourself that question slowly, but don't be quick to answer. Are people who are non-binary a threat to track and field? What is the biggest challenge that track and field has? I just told you 2012, the biggest scandal was not transgender. The biggest scandal you can look in athletics has never been people like Caster Semenya, who has become the face of what track and field was to say a scandal. The European Union arbitration court dismiss all the charges and all that has happened to Caster Semenya over the history and says, Caster Semenya deserves a place in athletics. If we are not inclusive in the spirit of Olympics, in the spirit of athletics, all we're going to do is dissect and try to see how we are going to eliminate certain athletes, and mostly women, because men are never. Men comes down to doping. And now we think men have an issue because somebody stared down at another athlete. We're always looking for something as a scapegoat as fans. Transgender athletes, people like Nikki Hiltz, are not a threat to athletics. They'll never be a threat to athletics. The biggest threat to athletics is the diminishing market, the fan base. People have no interest in athletics because of this bullshit. I'm being honest. If we are not going to include other young athletes to compete, they compete in the same arena. They don't have, honestly, I've come to believe that as much as people say that they have biological advantage because they could be either men or women or whatever, it's a lot of nonsense when it comes down to the whole idea of do they put in the work? Do they train as hard? Do they wake up every morning on a train? Are they passionate about it? Because someone like Nikki Hiltz, I remember watching these athletes embracing fans, being cheerful about accomplishment and being cheerful about us being there. They love what they do. I tell you, they are invested in it. You can see in their faces, in their actions. And when they start to be tested now, being told we are going to have a gate, we're going to filter so that you can come in. Where are we going with this? I have no idea. But I can say, go back to my first initial questions. What is the biggest challenge in athletics, in track and field? It's money, visibility, equitability, and by the way, I haven't even mentioned doping being a biggest challenge in Kenya. We have almost 300 athletes who've been busted for doping. Where is our priorities? Oh, do you have a vagina? Why is your Y chromes all over the place? You don't look feminine enough, so you don't belong in this category because we are looking for the Caucasian purity of a woman, and we're speaking as a people who are the superior race, because that's exactly what they're telling us. The same colonials that went around the world telling African Americans they are savages, they are backward, they're uncivilized, that their women are not women enough. They're the same faces, and they are always men. I'm passionate about it because this platform of Tukuriada will never shy from the hard subject of discrimination, marginalization, and not looking at a human being as they are. Because at track and field, the biggest challenge we face track and field is not gender. It's never been gender. East German back in the days, they were juiced up to the core. Why is Russia not in the Olympics? Is it because they were cheating, like they were gender issues? No, it was they were using dope. They were a state-sponsored dope nation. Belarus, Kenya is struggling. It's never gender. Priority is athletics. World athletics and Sebastian Coe need to set their agenda in the right places. Like I say, I'll go back to 2012. 31 medals. 31 medals in 2012 Olympics in London. The face was Sebastian Coe. 31 medals were returned because of doping, not because of gender and transgender. It wasn't about sex testing. It was dope testing. Doping, drugs, people cheating to get an edge so they can get money. People don't wake up in their bodies and go cheat because they are transgender to win a medal. I've never seen that. It will never happen. They're gonna win because of their talent and potential and training. End of the story. I rest my case. What about that? If it has a face, it has value. If it has a face, it has a soul. If I was gonna err, I'll better err on the human side. Tuko riadha promotes humanity. Utu, that's what they call it in Swahili. I'll never cease to be the spokesperson for Nikki Hiltz deserves a place in the World Championship. Why are we testing them? Test those dopers. Give them more money. You can't tell me you're missing the point, Sebastian Coe, World Athletics. Don't go to bed with these purists, these conservatives, maniacs who think, oh, we live in this, we are moralizing everything. We got bigger problems than gender issues. To Korea, my friends, subscribe. I was hitting hard today. Well, boom, he does it here. We do it because we love this. I'm very passionate about this subject and about athletes. On the next episode, you never know what's going to happen. So keep tuning in because in liking, you find the notification that says, you've been. Love it. Talk to you later, my friend. I like this sign. I think it's the other side of the pillow tastes good. Good night, everybody. Good night. Have sweet dreams. All right.